YouTube, what's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and wow, we're like what? We're over. I think we're getting closer to 3 years of Total War Warhammer 2, if not 3 years, because I think it released in 2017. I just don't remember the exact release date. But yeah, we're that far into the game, and holy crap, do we have some campaign options. So I'm gonna give you all a quick rundown of what my top 3 favorite Mortal Empires campaigns. I'm gonna specifically focus on Mortal Empires. Honestly, in general, I probably enjoy Mortal Empires more than Eye of the Vortex, but Eye of the Vortex is fun, and I do find myself occasionally playing those campaigns. But let's jump in, talk a little bit about what my favorite campaigns are, and I'll tell you why. And then, most of all, I have a link to a poll, and I want to see what you all think is your favorite campaign. Depending on how many people watch the video, we could potentially have thousands of responses to the poll, so please take a minute, click the link, go vote in the poll, and tell me what you think your favorite campaign is. If you don't have the game, or you haven't played the game, just go vote based on what your favorite one to watch was, or whatever else it is, right? So I'll put all the options in, and holy crap, do we have a lot of options. So this is also assuming that you have all the DLC, and free LC, what your favorite campaign is, but I mean, there are a lot of choices. As it stands right now in Total War Warhammer 2, of course, if I counted right, that exact count is actually 62 lords that you can pick from to play, and most of them have unique starting positions as well. I say most of them, a lot of them, I don't know if it's most, I didn't exactly do the math, but I would assume it probably is most at this point. That is a lot of different campaigns, folks, and I am going to give you my top 3. And like I said, please make sure to jump into that poll. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in now, load into a couple of campaigns where I'll show you and talk about why it is my favorite campaign. Okay, I told you 3, but I am going to throw a couple of honorable mentions in here. So these are not actually in my official top 3 list, but these are honorable mentions, meaning they were very close to being in my top 3 list. And the first up is Clan Scryer, led by Claw, and really, I honestly don't even like the Skaven that much. Like, they're not one of my favorite factions to play because they're, I mean, I just don't, I mean, they crack me up. Their voice lines crack me up. Their units are ridiculous and all that kind of stuff. But Clan Scryer is different, and it's because of the Forbidden Workshop. The Forbidden Workshop is hilarious. Picking up warp fuel and getting ridiculous upgrades that make your units even more bombastic and crazy than they were is just a lot of fun. And then on top of all that, you get Doom rockets, and you can warp nuke enemy settlements. So it easily puts this campaign up there very quickly for me. And you can see that, you know, with just the type of ridiculous stuff I have here, I look at all the rattling guns and warp lock Jezzails and Doomflame, and I'm early, like fairly early into this campaign, so I don't even have all the fun toys out there to go with yet, and that is why Claw's campaign, in my opinion, has definitely an honorable mention here. It's a fairly interesting start position. You're Skaven, so of course everybody hates you, and so you're fighting against absolutely everybody, and you run into a lot of Bretonnians, occasionally Beastmen, Empire sub-factions. Sartosa hates your guts too. Pretty much everybody around you hates your guts. The Dwarves, the Wood Elves, no one likes you, and so you just get to shoot, kill all of your enemies with the Skaven weapon teams. Yes. And it's very enjoyable for that reason, so Claw makes my honorable mention number 1. So honorable mention number 2 is going to go to Grom the Paunch. And some of you may think that I'm betraying his immensity and his massive gut by not putting him somewhere in the top 3, and if not at number 1, because of the size of his gut. And don't get me wrong, the size of his gut does make it very difficult for me to not place him in the top 3 list, but Grom's campaign, again, the Greenskins are not my favorite factions. It's similar to Skaven. Yes, they're fun. Yes, I enjoy a lot of things about them, but, you know, just everybody kind of has these favorites in their head for whatever reason, something that appeals to you, whether you can explain it or not. The Greenskins are not that for me, but the addition of the Cauldron is just freaking hilarious, and it makes this campaign easily an honorable mention for me because of the wacky I mean, look right now, we have a Magnum pizza. It's a giant freaking boar on a plate here. I mean, look at this. Look. It looks like a skinned boar with a pineapple jammed into his skull with lazily thrown slices of pineapple around, sitting on top of some kind of disgusting crust and who knows what for the sauce. I mean, it looks like vomit coming out of his mouth, may have even made up the sauce. I mean, this is fantastic. This is hilarious. And then not only that, it gives your units really fun and noticeable buffs while you're in combat that you can totally tailor to whoever you're fighting. So on top of Warhammer already offering this huge host of lords and armies and magic types and all this stuff that gives you a ton of variety in playing, now add on top of that this cooking, and you can throw in all these wacky dishes and now have even more diversity to your armies and more capability to have fun against your opponents. So, like, are you going to be playing against the Dawi? Well, you know what? You can whip up a dish that has the ability to give you bonus versus infantry arrows. I mean, it's just hilarious, like stuff like that you can do, because now it's really going to suck for the Dawi. And not only that, you get all the hilarious, talking from Grom as you're cooking up all this weird stuff, and it just really can't get any better. So Grom, to me, definitely earns himself an easy honorable mention just because of his wonderful pot and the fact that you're buying all these ingredients for said pot from a disgusting troll hag that gathers them up from, I really don't want to know. I really don't want to know, but it makes it just fantastic. So Grom, honorable mention number 2 for sure. All right, number 3 on my list. So we're starting the actual list now, is going to be the Golden Order, led by none other than Daddy Balthasar. That's right, the Empire. The Empire has always been kind of close to my heart. I am not someone who was into Warhammer from before it came to Total War. Total War introduced me to Warhammer. And the Empire has always just been a faction that I enjoy because of kind of the mix of somewhat realistic type troops like the spears and swords, mixed with machines, and then mixed with some cool mythical creatures like griffins. And the fact that the Empire has had access to a wide variety of lores of magic, mix of guns, bows, and all that other kind of stuff. So it's always that kind of interesting mixture that has always kept drawing me back into Empire campaigns. And then when CA came through and added in the Elector Count system, it just really magnified how much I like the Empire. And then Balthasar's start position is also very interesting. So not only do you get all these unique weapons, it makes you want to confederate the whole Empire and get all these lords and kind of collect them like Pokemon, and it is very fun to do. You also get unique units because of collecting all these lords in a Pokemon-type fashion. But Balthasar's start right next to the vampire counts is just entertaining. This is some just good old classic Game 1 Empire versus Vampire type matchup that I absolutely love. And then this classic matchup, which is one I really love, like I said, it's just an interesting start position. By the time you wipe out the vampires, sooner or later, here's going to come chaos. So you get all those classic things in an old world campaign to me that I really enjoy, which is going after the vampire counts. And I do like playing as the vampire counts too. That is fun. And then the chaos invasion and stopping said chaos invasion, doing it all with Balthasar is really entertaining. Karl Franz is also really fun, and so is Volkmar and the others that you can get here. But Balthasar has always kind of been like the underdog of the Empire forces because his melee prowess is just absolutely awful. But in campaign, he gets all these fun like abilities, and he can summon up ridiculous winds of magic and do a ton of damage. And he has a lot of nice combinations, like with Plague of Rust and Transmutation of Lead and Final Transmutation, all these things that make him a very interesting Lord pick. And so this is why Golden Order, for me, comes in solidly at number 3 as one of my favorite campaigns in Total War Warhammer 2 because of all those reasons. All right, so coming in at number 2 is going to be Emmerich, the Dragon Lord, or Dragon Prince, I guess, of Calador. I think he's a prince. Yeah. Shows you that Warhammer is not something that I knew before Total War. In any case, yes, Emmerich is awesome. He is a free lord that was added to the game, so everybody gets him, and that's actually probably one of the reasons why he makes this list. He was free to everybody if you own the game, and he is stupid fun. His start position in Mortal Empires is actually kind of difficult to start with, and my preferred method, and I forgot to mention this on the previous one, but with the Balthasar campaign, I like playing that on the very hard settings. On this campaign, I kind of enjoy either very hard, or doing very hard campaign settings, and then like normal or hard battle settings, because it can be actually very difficult to start up this campaign. But, you can play that either way you want, depending on the challenge that you get. And the reason why I picked very hard is because I like having the AI throw lots of huge armies at me and being a very challenging from a campaign map perspective. But, obviously sometimes you get tired of near unbreakable forces and stuff on the battle map, and so you can always tone that down. But the start position for Emmerich is very interesting. He's way out here at Fortress of Vorag. He gets to start off initially by fighting Skaven, Greenskins, Druchii, and Dwarves, and it can turn into an absolute crapshoot very quickly if you're not careful. You start out at war with the Dwarves, and sometimes you can just keep pushing against them, but you've always got the traitorous Skaven, Greenskins, and Druchii right over here to your south and east, and so it is a very, very tricky predicament. You don't have much money, and you're not going to have much money because, for whatever reason, CA please fix this, I'm serious. Shattered Cove has a port, okay? They added this port specifically because there weren't enough ports back here, but you can't use Shattered Cove to trade back with the other High Elves, even though we know that this ocean is connected, even though you can't see it on the map. So CA, please fix that. It is actually one of my complaints with this campaign. But that's why you're going to be starved for money, and for the time being, that's actually one of the challenges with this campaign. It is one of the pieces that makes it interesting because of that constant fight for money. Now, while you are fighting for money, one thing you're going to get, and get in droves as Emmerich, is dragons. And you can get some really cool features as well. Let's take a look at Prince Emmerich. I want to show you all something right now. So Emmerich is mounted on Menithir, or Menithir, however you say that. I can't pronounce it. I can't do it, obviously, because I just slaughtered it there. Look at some of the effects that you can get. I have a dragon, but he has perfect vigor. Okay, and then there's an even better one somewhere, Stalk. I picked up the Stalk trait. So he has an invisible star dragon, folks. He is invisible to enemies until he gets really close on a star dragon. And just, look at the freaking attack here. This is absurd. I haven't even used his abilities yet. You want to see what happens when I pop off his abilities. So the dragon is very satisfying. And then on top of that, look what I got here in my army here. I think we renamed a few of these because of people that we were playing with. But you get all these unique dragons. No, here it is. Yeah, we get Gordonar, Champion of the Flame. We get Imrath, the Eternal. Lamero, the Frozen Breath. Bruwar, Protector of Life. Shakalot, the Calamity. We get all these awesome dragons. In this army right now, I have, let's see, so Emmerich's on a dragon, his Mage of Fire is on a dragon, and then, so add those two to 6 more. I have 8 dragons, and then an Omen of Assyrian Phoenix here. And it is just hilarious. The number, and there's a special right over here as well, that if you use this right, you get more Dragon Breath attacks. Look right here, it's the Greater Invocation of All. So you can go into each battle with sometimes 3 to 7 dragon breaths, depending on the current state of things. And you can just literally rain fire from the sky all over your enemies, and it is really fun. And then couple that with all the new units that the elves get, and it just becomes a very fun challenge. You really struggle at the beginning, just trying to get a foothold, and then as you get these dragons, you don't really have enough money for more than one army, but your army is just absolutely brutally effective. And you have to fight hard to get some of these dragons early on in this, which is another reason why I like it. You gotta fight really hard to get some of these dragons early on, because you don't have a lot of troops, and these dragons are tough to take down in the battle where you get them. So Emmerich lands solidly at number 2 for me. Really fantastic add to the game, and I am really enjoying Emmerich's Mortal Empires campaign. Alright, folks, so coming in at number 1 on my list, as far as my favorite Mortal Empires campaign, is actually Marathi of the Dark Elves, and I will start explaining why this is my favorite campaign. A couple of the reasons are just personal. I enjoy playing as the Druchii. I like the different unit variety and magic that they bring, and Marathi to me is one of the most fun lords to play because she is actually pretty decent in melee, and as you get her leveled up throughout the campaign, she becomes a just sick caster, like extremely good at casting. But holy crap, again, very hard is the recommendation of where this is coming from, and it is hard. Marathi is probably one of the hardest campaigns that I've played on this setting, and it is solely because of the existence of freaking Nagarythe. These guys will spam you with Shadow Walkers, and Shadow Walkers, remember, are long range, poison missile, poison weapon damage, and they do really solid weapon damage, and early in a campaign you don't have any freaking armor to counter them with. They will slaughter you from range, they will slaughter you in melee, and remember on the very hard battle settings that they also get enormous leadership buffs, and sometimes, I think melee defense and other stuff too, so it is extremely difficult to put down Nagarath. I had to restart this campaign, and I've played, probably close to 2,000 or 3,000 hours of Warhammer between Game 1 and Game 2, and I had a really difficult time getting this campaign started. I think I had to restart it about 5 or 6 times before I literally just got lucky and was able to confederate these guys over here, Seildra Tor. I was able to confederate them, finally stop that war, and then I got lucky. I caught Elithanar in an ambush, still barely killed him, and just had barely enough troops left over to get in and take Arnheim and finally shut him down. Otherwise, eventually he just overloads you with all of his stat buffs and economy buffs, and you just get buried in a pile of Shadow Walkers and an unreal hail of arrows from the heavens. And so that's the first reason why I really like this Marathi campaign. I'm going to load up another point and show you why it continues to have reasons to enjoy. So here we are in that same campaign, but loaded much later. And I'll let you see what I own here from a map perspective. You can actually see it in the mini-map over here. If we turn on ownership, this will help you. So here's the settlements that I own, all up and down Lustria here. And you can see the rest of the old world. And this is after the Chaos invasions. And so what happens as a result of Chaos invading is that all of the factions of quote-unquote order all unite with each other. So take a look at Lothern here. Look at their allies. They've got Kislev, Sudenburg, Ostermark, Koron, Karazakarak, the Sentinels of Zedi, and they even picked up the Exiles in the Hack. I don't even know how this one happens. And then they've also got Reichland. So they have united all of the quote-unquote good factions under their banner and basically declared war on the rest of the world. And you might look, well, Aaron, it's not that bad. You got all these bad factions. There's more bad factions than there are good factions. Yeah, well, let's go look at something real quick. Remember some of the key players here. Reichland, Karazakarak, and Lothern. Lothern is rated at Etienne, or however you say this. They're rated at strength rank 4, so they're already very powerful. Look at this. Karazakarak, 70 settlements, strength rank 1, okay? And then the Reichland, which should be right here, rank 2 with 74 settlements. So, yeah, even though there's more quote-unquote bad factions here that they're at war with, look at the Dreadfleet, 1 settlement, the Awakened with 3, what a joke. And then Clan Scryer with 8. Oh no, watch out. Even Malekith up here at Nagron, only 15 settlements. So I want you to get a feel for that real quick. And look at this. Not only that, Malekith is losing right now. He's losing territory to the Empire and to Koron. So not only am I at war with the entire world and having to fight extremely hard to protect my own shores from the non-stop invasions of Lothern, and soon the Dawi start making their way. It's not captured here, but eventually it's just dozens and dozens of stacks of Karazakarak make their way in. They take Galleon's Graveyard and then start invading Lustria. So I'm fighting on 3 fronts again, and I kid you not, we are talking dozens of stacks from each of these factions at any one given time, and I've only got, maybe 7 or 8 armies of my own to beat this back with. So if you win anything less than just absolutely huge victories, then you're losing. And on top of that, Malekith is losing ground in the north. You can see Venom Glades under siege, and he ends up actually losing the entirety of Nagron. He loses all of it. And then I ended up having to take it back. I'll reload that and then show you kind of what I've been able to make of it. But this led to the most intense fighting I have ever had and some of the largest battles that I've ever had. In fact, right out here at the Temple of Adayoth, I even made a video out of this. I ended up fighting it was something like almost 7,000 Bretonnians with an army of 1,000 with Marathi. Go check out that video. I'll try and link it in the description. It's a result of this campaign. It was the most intense campaign battle I've ever had, probably. And if I would have lost it, I would have probably lost the campaign because they would have just started flooding over me from the north while Marathi was really the only thing I had to hold out against them. And so this was probably easily the most intense campaign, and it was all at turn 192. And remember that everybody always says Well, campaigns are pretty much over after turn 50. It's just a snowball. It's not even fun. That's why we need the proving grounds bait. No, I disagree with all of that wholeheartedly. Yes, some campaigns are very easy in the late game. In fact, quite a few are. But this is one of the few that is actually very difficult in late game, especially considering the circumstances. Malekith wouldn't freaking confederate with me for anything, and then he gets killed, and it makes the late game even more challenging for me. I have no sufficient allies, and I am literally fighting against several factions that combine to be probably 6 or 7 times my size in terms of armies and settlements and capability. So it created an amazing late game challenge. Let's just go ahead and load forward another one, and I'll kind of show you how this one went. So yeah, here we are at turn 302 of the campaign. 302. And I'm gonna go back out here and I'll show you all. I finally righted Malekith's wrong. When he was finally almost dead, we took him over. But look at this, folks. Just look at this. The dwarves that I mentioned, I'm finally pushing them back out of Lustria. I had to beat down probably 30 of their armies at least, and now finally my allies are able to get some foothold against them while I continue to beat down dwarf staff. Look, I mean, I have beaten them, and look, another dwarf stack, another dwarf stack, another dwarf stack. I mean, I'm telling you, and this is after they have been beaten down savagely for probably 100 turns, okay? I finally have a foothold on Lothern that I can barely hold, and again, this is after having beaten them down savagely for almost 100 turns in battle after battle. I owned all of Nagarond. I'm now kicking Bretonnia out of one that they came and retook. You can see that they continue to send stacks back after me that I have to protect while all the while pushing forward, and I finally get a foothold in the Chaos Waste. Like, this is my first landing on the soil of the New World. And I'm going to have to push all the way through here. So this is 302 turns into the same campaign, and it is still interesting. I still have to go wipe these people out, and the Sword of Cain over here is actually still ripe for the taking amidst all of this. And so this campaign is 302 turns in, is still fun, and I'm still constantly getting huge battles and fun gameplay out of it. And this is why Marathi's campaign, in my opinion, is number 1. It is extremely difficult to get started. It tests you to your limits. You have no allies in the late game if you're unlucky. Occasionally you will if you're very lucky. And you end up fighting against the whole dang world, and it is one of the most challenging scenarios, and you will get huge battle after huge battle after huge battle. And guess what this game series is called? It's called Total War. And that's why I love this campaign. I love the battles in this game. I love the huge battles that mean something as you win. And when you win, it feels very satisfying that you have won, especially when you are facing extremely superior numerical odds and sometimes even better units, and you just win because you know how to outplay the AI or something. It's just extremely satisfying in that regard. And so that's why Marathi ranks number 1 because of the challenge and the longevity of the campaign. And anyway, there you go. That's my list. You all go click that link in the description, go to the poll, you tell me who your favorite is, and I'll try and share the results of the poll in another video, and we'll see what everybody had to say. HeirofCarthage signing out for now from my favorite campaigns in Mortal Empires.